Loose Women star Janet Street Porter reveals the heartbreaking reason she apologized on air. Janet Street Porter is one of the most prominent and beloved characters on the British show Loose Women. With a strong personality, outspoken and not afraid to express her opinions, Janet has always attracted the public's attention through sharp debates, vivid stories and a unique style. However, few people know that behind that strong facade, Janet also has a wounded heart and stories that she has never shared publicly. That day, Janet was preparing to enter an important episode of Loose Women. Today's show was more special than the previous ones, because no one expected that she would reveal a very private and heartbreaking story. A story that made her apologize on television. Something that had never happened in her entire career. It all started when Janet received a call early one morning, while she was preparing for the show. On the other end of the line was a familiar but worried voice. It was her mother, Elsie, who had been with Janet through all of life's challenges. "Janet, can you come see me for a moment? I need you." Her voice was different from usual. The worry in her mother's voice made Janet feel uneasy. Janet hurriedly arranged her work and went to see her mother. When she arrived, Elsie was sitting on the old armchair in the living room, looking at Janet with tired eyes. "Daughter, I have something to tell you. It's something I've been hiding from you for a long time." Those were words Janet had never expected, and they changed her life forever. Elsie began to tell Janet a part of her past that Janet had never known. In the early 1970s, when Janet was very young, Elsie had faced a very difficult and dark situation. One day, on a business trip, she met a man she fell in love with. It was a secret relationship, and eventually led to a decision she never shared with anyone. Elsie was pregnant, but the man, due to family and social ties, refused to take responsibility. She decided to have an abortion. In the months that followed, she experienced not only physical but also mental pain. The guilt and loneliness haunted her for years, making her unable to tell anyone, not even Janet. "You can't know how much I've suffered. I've always wanted to protect you from the pain of the past. But now, I feel that you need to know the truth, Janet," Elsie said, her voice choking. Janet couldn't believe what she was hearing. Memories of her mother, who had always been strong and steady in her eyes, suddenly became fragile. Janet felt like she was standing on a deep abyss, not knowing what to do, what to think. After talking with her mother, Janet couldn't stop thinking about her mother's past. Old memories came back one by one. Janet remembered the times she and her mother walked in the park, the late nights when her mother held her in her arms when she had nightmares, and the stories her mother told about the hardships in life. But Elsie had never shared about this past, a painful past that she always tried to hide. Janet began to feel guilty towards her mother, for not realizing that her mother had also suffered a lot. She realized that her mother was not only a strong mother, but also a wounded woman who had struggled with heartbreaking decisions throughout her life. The next day, Janet went to the set of Loose Women, carrying a heavy mood and deep thoughts. She couldn't stop thinking about what her mother had said, and wondered if she should share her mother's story with the audience. Should I tell the truth? Is it right to reveal a part of my mother's past that she had painfully kept hidden for so many years? Janet asked herself. As the show began, Janet tried to stay calm and engage in conversations with her colleagues. However, she couldn't help but feel uneasy. She began to feel that there was something she needed to share, something important not only to herself but also to the people watching the show. At the end of the show, Janet decided to do something she never thought she would do. She stood up and apologized to the audience. She felt that this was the only way to free herself from her guilt and also to show respect to her mother. Before I end today's show, I want to say something very important. Something that I have never shared with anyone, including you, who have always followed me. I apologize for what I am about to say, but I feel I need to share this. My mother went through a great pain in the past that I never knew. I apologize for not realizing, not understanding what she went through. And I apologize because today, I apologize not only for myself, but also for my mother, who has always tried to protect me from that pain," Janet said, her voice breaking. This was an unforgettable moment, not only for Janet but also for the show's audience. Janet, who has always been strong and not afraid to express her opinions, opened up for the first time and shared a painful story that she had never dared to tell. After the broadcast, Janet received a lot of feedback from the audience. Most people expressed sympathy and respect for her, because they understood that opening up about a painful part of her past is never easy. They felt Janet's truth and courage in standing up and apologizing publicly. Janet also felt lighter after sharing her story. She realized that sometimes, forgiveness doesn't just come from others, but also from herself. She learned that sometimes facing the past and apologizing to herself is an important step in healing. She called her mother right after the show ended, and Elsie cried when she heard her apology. "You don't have to apologize, Janet. I just want you to know that no matter how difficult life is, we can always get through it with love and forgiveness," she said. Janet felt warmer than ever. She understood that the love between her and her mother was not only about protection but also about forgiveness, empathy and support in all circumstances. After that special broadcast, Janet Street Porter changed. She was no longer the woman with a strong shell. Janet learned to open up, accept her weaknesses and find peace within. She continued her work with a more open heart and a new belief in the ability to forgive. Janet's story is not only a lesson in strength, but also a lesson in love, forgiveness and facing the past in order to move forward. After the special aired, Janet Street Porter realized that a new door had opened in her life. Although she had to face deep trauma, the event also gave her the opportunity to recreate a part of her soul that she had not been able to do for a long time. She felt like a burden had been lifted from her shoulders, a painful secret that she had never dared to share was now released. This change came not only from the public apology on television, but also from the deep conversations she had with herself and those around her. One of the most important things Janet learned during this journey was the need for love and support from those around her. After the public apology, Janet received a lot of positive feedback from fans, colleagues, and even close friends. Although many people did not understand the whole story, they gave her sympathy and encouragement. The members of the program Loose Women also supported her and thanked her for her courage in sharing this personal story. They said that Janet had opened up an important topic about forgiveness and love, not only in the family but also in everyday life. One day, in a private conversation with Ruth Langsford, one of her close friends on television, Janet shared her feelings. "Ruth, I don't think I could do this before. I don't think I would be able to stand in front of the camera and say such painful things. But when my mother opened up and shared that story, I realized that I also needed to face those wounds. And honestly, after I apologized and was forgiven, I felt much lighter." Ruth nodded, understanding Janet's situation. Sometimes we suffer from invisible wounds. But facing them and not hiding them, not running away, that is the first step to healing. Janet, you did the right thing. In the following months, Janet began to feel a change in her life. She no longer felt stressed or afraid when thinking about the past. Forgiveness not only freed her from guilt but also brought her peace of mind. She also became more open, no longer closed like before. This was evident in her relationships with people around her, especially with her colleagues. Janet began to participate in more social activities, not only on television but also participating in charity projects and community service programs. She found that sharing love and care with others brought her a feeling of great happiness. One of the biggest changes in Janet's life was when she began to open up to a new man, someone she never thought she would fall in love with after all the pain she had gone through. It was Peter, a longtime friend who Janet had met through charity events. Peter was patient, a good listener, and always there for Janet during her most difficult times. It was Peter who stood by Janet through her difficult journey, as she faced the painful truths about her past. He never judged her, but shared, supported, and created a space for Janet to feel safe to open up. Their relationship gradually grew from friendship to love, and Janet felt lucky to have such a gentle and strong man by her side.